Alright guys, well apparently Manus's social life has apparently taken a big ass fucking hit. As was expected for I don't know how fucking long, given what he did. Now, for those that don't know, let me just give a brief background summary of a lot of the shit that happened back in the day. Back in 2018, 2019, around the time the Carp saga was going on, my friends and I ran into another pedophile advocate by the name of Mike. I'm not going to use his last name because if I do, he'll try to false flag the video under privacy guidelines despite the fact that he was so fucking goddamn stupid that he literally used his own last name, first initial in his username because, best thing to do if you're gonna go around advocating for being a pedophile and advocating for fucking kids. Apparently, the best thing to do is just include your legal name and attach it to everything that you own, which in turn could be used to possibly identify you and cause you difficulty in your life because I'm sure everyone around you is going to have nothing at all to say against what you're saying, even if the shit you're saying is really fucking abhorrent. But nevertheless, during this period in time, everyone had a long and drawn out back and forth with Michael, even going so far as to have a couple debates. And the debates basically went as follows. Those, people would bring up very valid concerns relating to whether or not his opinions regarding being a fucking predator were based more on just cherry picking what might be personally convenient to him instead of questioning whether or not his own interests or his own want out of the matter might potentially be more hostile and more dangerous than people being ridiculed and lambasted for having those interests. His rebuttal was more or less to say, fuck you, man. Fuck you, man. Fuck you, man. With his speech impediment. And here's the thing, I won't make fun of a regular person with a speech impediment, but when it's a fucking predator that more or less, that it did what Michael did, I'm gonna make fun of them to the ends of the earth, and I will condemn them to the ends of the earth. And it goes for anyone that does it, whether or not it's a stranger or someone I know. Now, it's difficult to really say what he did plainly, because it does disturb me, and it does causes me a lot of distress to think about it. Just in the general principle that someone could even do what he did to the person, that he did it to. Now let me just say this. Mike had sexually abused his little sister when she was a small child, and I believe he was roughly from the ages of 12 all the way to when he was, I believe, 14 or 16, if memory serves. If anyone remembers exactly, they can feel free to correct me. But the fact is this. Michael had sexually abused his younger sister. And he was so fucking cavalier about admitting this in front of other people. And there was no fucking shame at all about having done it. Because this wasn't like someone saying, I did something fucking horrible, I wish I could undo it, but I can't. No, it was more like, yeah, I did it, so what? Or, yeah, I did it, and that's it. No regret, no desire to have, found a way to undo it, nothing. Basically, he explained it the way that a person explains that they went to the store to get a gallon of milk. That was his way of talking about it. He was so nonchalant about what he did. And apparently the consequences have now finally hit him like a ton of fucking bricks. So let's read this comment that Damien ended up finding between him and, between Mattis and Ronnie going back and forth. Yes, it's me. My life has taken a dark turn. My sister refuses to forgive me for what I did, and when I tried to explain my side of the situation, she hit me and told me to get out of her life. Okay. Well, my question is this. Why would she fucking forgive you? You did the worst thing an older sibling can ever do to their sibling aside from killing them. Like, those are the only two things that I think a younger sibling could go through that an older one would do to them that they would never be able to forgive, provided obviously they're alive and not dead. It's kind of hard for a dead person to forgive a living person. But nevertheless, you did an unfucking forgivable thing. And then you have the nerve to be pissed off that she didn't forgive you or to complain about her not forgiving you. Why would she want to forgive you? Why would she want to give you a free pass for potentially fucking up her entire life? I mean, you don't know what kind of long-term effects this has had on her. You don't know whether or not she's able to even look at herself in the mirror without remembering the hideous shit you did to her. I mean, you're literally bitching and whining that the consequences of your actions have come down on you like a ton of bricks after I don't know how long of apparently those things just sitting all the way on the back burner for probably over a decade or two. And for some reason, just now, it occurs to you that she won't forgive you. Like, I don't, like, I feel, I've never really spoken to your sister. Like, I only know her name because you've let it slip here and there. But honestly, my heart goes out to her. Because I can't imagine having been at the mercy of someone who you trusted to be a source of guidance and protection, only to realize that they looked at you like a toy they could fuck with and then ignore and then throw away when they got bored. And the worst part is, you did this to her as a little kid, and you were old enough to know better. And the worst part is you have no compunction about having done it. I don't think you're apologized because you were guilty or because you felt sorry. I think you apologized because you wanted to buy some token of goodwill from her. Like, I just don't believe that you're sorry if you did apologize to her, and I have a hard time believing it because people like you are all the fucking same. You are. Every time you apologize, it's always for show. It's always something that people do to avoid consequence, even if they know that they have to basically lie their ass off so that other people still trust them. Alright. Let's keep reading this horse shit. Because we all know he's not. I don't think he really means any bit of the apology, etc. She hit me and told me to get out of her life. Well, of course she's gonna want to be out of your life and not want to be fucking around you at all. You're the kind of person that literally took advantage of the one person that should have been able to rely on you for protection. And you mistreated them in the worst way possible. And for years, you've been defending it. Defending it. You were not saying this is a regrettable decision. You're saying you did that and everyone else should just not say anything about it or not think it's disgusting or not look down upon it. All the while, your own sister openly wants nothing to do with you and views you as nothing more but a disgusting parasite that's a blight on her family line because she acknowledges that there's something deeply fucking wrong with you. And you've hurt her in a way that's never gonna go away. You are not her brother. You're just a sick fuck that happens to have the same parents. That's the way people look at that shit. That's the way anyone would look at someone like you, is that you're just a sick fuck who happens to be related to them. I've also been receiving multiple threats from people online and IRL, and my reputation has been stained. Your reputation was stained by your own actions. Nobody did this shit to you. Nobody made you do this shit. Everything that you've gone through has been a result of your own shitty, horrible, fucked up actions. I don't get why it is you're trying to sit there and act like everyone else is an asshole when you do the shit that you did. Other people are not being unreasonable. Their outrage and anger is understandable given the horrendous deeds you've committed. You come off like a fucking idiot when you try to pretend that other people are being these hypersensitive, pearl clutching reactionaries to the shit that you did. They're not being reactionaries. They're not overreacting, I don't think. Because the shit you did is unfucking acceptable and unforgivable in any way. Like, there is nothing at all you could ever do that would ever truly atone for your actions. There isn't. There is no way at all that you could ever there is no act of atonement that you would ever be able to commit that would ever truly be sufficient to make anyone respect you or forgive you, because you've done something that is considered a fucking excommunicado action in any group. Any family who notices one of their own does this will disown that person in question without a second thought. And for some reason you're trying to sit there and act like other people are being unreasonable when they're upset with this shit that you did. Like, other people actually genuinely feel bad for your sister. Myself being one of those people that feels genuinely bad for her. If you take away my fucking history as a survivor and put it to the back burner and just put it completely off to the side, it's the fact that you did the most unforgivable thing possible to someone that trusted you. She trusted you. You were her brother. She should have been able to look to you for protection and care. She should have been able to look to you for love and kindness and reassurance that no matter what happened, she'd always have someone there to back her. And you failed. And you didn't just fail on account of ineptitude or simply being unable to fiscally to help someone. You failed because you chose to do a horrible action that would forever alter the state of her life. And even if you were just some dipshit teenager with like no fucking idiot with nothing in their fucking head because they're a fucking like a dumbass with no fucking brain. The little part of your brain that says this is unacceptable, don't do this kind of shit, should have been enough to kick your ass into gear and realize, oh wait, I'm not gonna do that because that'd be fucked up. But the problem is, you realized there was something wrong with you and did nothing about it. You did nothing at all about it. And as a result, you hurt someone who should have been able to rely on you. Fuck you. Of course your reputation is ruined. Why wouldn't it fucking be? What reasonable fucking person would ever look at someone that did what you did and be able to accept them at all? Literally no one. No person with a healthy understanding of ethics or morals, or even just the basic don't be a piece of shit understanding of how to behave in a functioning civilized society. None of those people would be able to back you at all, nor would they choose to, because everything you have done is basically just an affront to everything society is founded on in regards to wanting to protect and care for the most vulnerable of our fucking societies. Honestly, she deserves to hit you more. She deserves to hit you for every single one of the times that you've hurt her. She deserves to see you dragged in front of a group of people in your hometown, tied to a chair, doused in kerosene, and lit on fire. She deserves to see you be sent straight to hell for the hell you put her through. Because there's no telling how long she's been struggling with that. Like, I'm not gonna pretend to know. I'm not. I don't know. But if I am to speculate, considering how it affected myself, and keep in mind the people that affected me were not people in my family. They were people that were just going to the same school that were slightly older. If it had been a family member, I imagine it would have been several times fucking worse because I'd be several times less likely to trust anybody at all. Instead of keeping strangers at an arm's length, I would be keeping everyone at an arm's length at that fucking point. If not more. I don't get why it is you're trying to act like this is an unrealistic response to your behavior. If anything, this is the kind of response that people would be expecting to happen. The fact is, you brought this on your goddamn self. You did. Because you defended it, you bragged about it, and then you tried to make it seem like everyone else is being an unreasonable asshole for being upset with it. And you keep in mind, you maintained this little fucking charade for years. This whole, fuck you, man, you don't understand, man. And then at the same time, you're trying to act like other people are being unreasonable assholes because they think that what you did was utterly fucked. Like, what are people supposed to think? Like, what are people supposed to fucking think? Hang on, I think I missed a line. Here it is. And when I tried to explain my side of the situation, she hit me and told me to get over. Like, okay, she hit. When I tried to, okay, what exactly is your fucking side? What is your side? Like, what justification do you have? Like, what bullshit are you gonna pull out of your ass? Like, what study that's been disproven 70 years ago do you have to contribute to the class where you start trying to tell your victim how she should feel about what you did to her? Like, nobody has the right to tell anyone how they've affected, how to feel about what they did. It's one thing if you're just a genuinely stupid fuck, or if you're just caught up in a moment of frustration and you do something or say something you really shouldn't have done because you look like a piece of shit or you did something really fucked up to someone because you're mad at them. You could understand the logic behind that. You could at least argue that you were just a fucking idiot that was pissed off and wasn't thinking about their actions. But with you, you weren't angry. You weren't doing something out of rage because you wanted retaliation. You weren't doing something out of grief because you were struggling with something really, really fucked up and you just did something awful because you just were like against the wall about a tough situation. You didn't do any of that shit. You knew what you were doing was wrong, you were well aware how bad it was, and you just are now trying to make excuses for it almost a decade or two down the line. And you're trying to explain what you did away to the person you did it to as a child. Like, you're not trying to explain yourself in a way where you actually humble yourself and admit that you fucked up. I don't believe you did. Like, what I believe is they were basically just sitting there trying to justify it by more or less insinuating that the person you offended on should somehow feel better or worse because you apologized. Like, say what you will, but an apology doesn't really mean anything if the apology comes on the back of you getting exposed for it after admitting it. Like, that apology really doesn't mean shit if the whole apology is literally just done to be a cop-out from being responsible for your own fucking actions. Because at that point, the whole apology, it just rings hollow. It feels empty. Because the whole apology just feels like it was something that was done to try to cushion the blow of whatever the fuck this person might do in retaliation. I mean, it does. It really fucking does. It feels like whatever you did, you just apologized because you wanted to avoid bullshit from people. Like, I don't think even for a fucking minute that you apologized because you were genuinely fucking sorry. I just think you apologized because you thought that if you apologized to your sister that she would just miraculously forgive and forget. Now, there are a lot of things a person might be able to forgive. Maybe infidelity, maybe like sleeping with someone's partner. Maybe they could forgive that if it really was just a dumb, drunken night out mistake. If you can really prove that both of you were a pair of fucking dumb drunks that didn't know what you were doing. But when it comes down to this, you don't have this like dumbass drunken night out excuse that some people might have. Because from the sound of things, you were most likely entirely sober while you were doing this shit every time. And then you're gonna try to sit there and lecture other people about not understanding what you did. It's like, well, what is there to understand? You literally did something unfucking forgivable to someone who loved you and looked up to you and probably trusted you more than anyone else would earlier on in life. You basically took your sister's love for you, you crumpled up and threw in the fucking garbage. And you treated her like a disposable toy. Honestly, I feel like I wish I could hug your sister. I do. I wish I could hug your sister and tell her that it's not her fucking fault what you did. And the reason I say that is because I wish I could have done the same thing for mine. Like, let me just be completely candid here. Like, my younger brother, since Codebreaker wants to spout it all around being a fucking annoying little cocksucker about it, did something fucked up to one of our siblings. Very similar to you, Mikey. And I condemn him the same way I condemn you. I'm not picking fucking favorites. And the worst part is I had no idea that shit was going on until he was indicted. So for years, this shit was going on in the background and I had no clue because I didn't live in the same household and I still don't live in the same household as my brother did and as my sisters do. Like, I had genuinely no fucking clue that any of this shit was ever happening. And it wasn't until after it all came out when he was being charged that all the pieces started clicking into place. And the amount of times I wished I could have done something about it, or known about it, or prevented it at all. I've lost track of how hard it is to sleep at night wondering what I could have done differently to have prevented this. How I could have stepped in. How I could have noticed the signs sooner to have helped my sister out. Speaking as someone who has to find out the hard way that shit like that has happened. Like, I don't have the words to describe that level of anger, frustration, and just pure fucking despair that comes from finding out that you could have been there and prevented it had you just known what was happening. And seeing what your sister went through, it's like seeing what mine went through. My hatred of you does not stem from, well, a family member did it. Like, I'm not projecting what my brother did onto you. You did the same shit. It's not me displacing my rage towards him on you. My rage towards him and you, albeit separate, is exactly the same. Because you are you and he is him. But nevertheless, my feelings of anger and hate for both of you are equal. Like, there is no fucking difference really between how I feel about him and how I feel about you. There is none. Seeing the way you are and how you kind of like just want to pass it off as though you don't understand what you did makes me not give a shit what people might do to you. Because realistically, it sounds like you're just asking for it. It just feels like you're just trying to make excuses for this shit. Unfortunately, the police do not appear to be on my side and would rather ask about my activity online and some BS regarding my sister instead of pursuing the criminals who are actively threatening me with violence. Again, this is all a matter of like the shit you did and who you did it to as a combined force more or less makes it hard for the police to care about what happened to you. Even if they themselves are obligated to enforce the law, that doesn't mean they can't voluntarily get to your house much later than they realistically should have. They could easily just suddenly have a traffic stop to do when you're calling them for an emergency because realistically someone might be speeding. They might have to randomly stop and frisk someone to see whether or not someone has drug paraphernalia or a weapon. And they can just waste 20 minutes frisking that person just to realize they don't have anything to show up at your house way too late. And if anything happens, the cops can just say that the criminal eluded them. I wouldn't say it would be right, legally speaking, but at the same time, you can't really argue that their reaction to just letting the criminal go or refusing to pursue them, you can't really argue that it's unreasonable for the police officers to have that approach given what you did. Like, it would basically just be someone doing to you what the legal system would have already done as well. In fact, the legal system probably would be a lot worse to you, realistically speaking, because you'll most likely be beaten to death in prison or get repeatedly sodomized with a pipe or a broom handle until you're dead, as opposed to someone either blasting you or smothering you or strangling you or possibly stabbing you. And again, this isn't me advocating for violence against you. This is me simply saying, out of all the things that are likely to happen to you, I think prison would probably be the worst place for you. Because realistically speaking, everything you fear right now would probably be coming true in prison as a certainty. Instead of being threatened IRL by randos online, where you could probably argue that most of the things they do are just threats and that they don't actually intend to act on because they're just trying to scare you. And realistically, your online activities should be scrutinized and questioned because you're literally going around and just saying that you molested your sister and saying that everyone else is just an asshole for being upset with that. Like anyone with a reasonable understanding of how it is to be an older sibling that wishes to protect their siblings would understand that level of rage and would feel that level of rage at you for what you did, or anyone, for that matter, that does that to their sibling. Like, you lose the right to complain and bitch when you're bringing it upon your goddamn self. Although some help would be nice, I do not agree with the things you are doing, such as stalking and harassing children. So the answer is simply, motherfucker. Look, what he's doing is still shitty, and I'm never going to defend him stalking and harassing kids. No one is going to defend that regardless. But you have no room to talk. You don't. You do not have room to fucking talk when you are openly admitting to having sexually abused your sister multiple times. You have no room to talk about anything at all when you admit to doing what you fucking did. Like, I don't get why it is you're trying to moral fag about whether or not this dude's stalking kids when you did something fucking worse. He's still a piece of shit too. The difference is he's just not your level of piece of shit yet. Keyword being yet. Like, he might evolve still. He turn into a bigger. He might get into a shit coon and turn out a whole different type of piece of shit. Who knows? But nevertheless, you brought this on yourself. Because keep in mind, for years you were bragging about what you did. and trying to advocate that it be treated as though it was a normal and respectable behavior to exhibit on someone in your family. All the while you're freaking out and reading at people because they pointed out the fact that you're such a fucking moron. You attach your legal name to your profiles and openly admit to doing what you did over and over and over again, mind you. I mean, this isn't like one or two moments of you having a lapse in judgment, admitting to it. You openly went around admitting to it and acted like it was something to be proud of. You treated it like it was an accomplishment to do what you did. Hate to break it to you, but it's not an accomplishment. Doing one of the worst things in the world to someone that loves you because you could is not an accomplishment. That just means you're a piece of shit that exploited someone else's love and care for you for your own ends. Like, there is nothing good about what you are or what you've done. There never will be. And I don't know why it is you're trying to sit there and lecture this other fucking dipshit about what they're doing when the stuff you did is actually far worse. Like, it's basically like the serial killer saying that the murderer is somehow worse than them, when the murderer has killed one person but the serial killer has killed multiple people. It's basically just like that. You're trying to say that someone's actions, albeit shitty, should somehow be worse than yours, even though your actions have actually been proven to have long term effects on people, even if they're not presently mentioned by you or her. Like, do you not understand the stupid ass hypocrisy of that? Where you start saying, "Well, you're bad, and I'm in the right, and I'm better than you because I did this." Like, that doesn't make a damn difference, dude. You literally took advantage of your little sister, treated her like a fucking fleshlight, and then basically she had to live with whatever the fuck you did to her for the rest of her goddamn life. You are literally not better than anybody in that situation whatsoever, because you actively went around promoting that shit and acted like everyone else was just a bigoted asshole for not agreeing with you. There's so much wrong with you, it's not even funny, and quite frankly, I can't wait till something finally catches up with you again. I mean, I think this is just the start of it. I think that down the road there's going to be a bigger fever pitch coming, and it's going to be fucking hilarious when it hits.